Thank you so much for joining me. And today I'm going to take a look at the trades I took on Thursday, September the 8th, 2022. Today was a bit of a disappointing day. It is a red day, but just saw a couple of trades that I didn't take. The trade that I did take was on the Qs to the long side, but I did see a quick setup on AMD and also a setup on Tesla, which I don't normally watch, but ever since the split, I've been looking at it to see if there is any possible entries there since it's a little bit cheaper, and it had been pretty volatile when it was before the 3-to-1 split. Typically, I'll look to trade it on maybe Thursday or Friday when the options come down. Just a little bit too much capital for a volatile stock like Tesla, but just trying to watch it every day at least to see if there's any movement. And there was a potential movement today on Tesla, and they're right off the open here. Looking at the chart here, you'll see there was a small pullback there, but it was pretty early in the session, and I wasn't so sure if the market had found a direction yet. So looking at the chart on Tesla here, it ended up being would have been a great trade if I had taken it, but I think the options at the time were about maybe $3 and something, so maybe $300-$400 for one contract. So just wasn't too sure to take that, but that's really not the way to trade. Can't trade scared. That was a pretty decent setup, and of course, in hindsight, I should have taken it, but the apprehension was just that it was a little bit too expensive for the account. And then the other trade was on AMD. The other potential trade rather was on AMD, and that was after wasn't really a perfect pullback, but made a quick sharp move here with this candle here, and then a slight pullback, and then it went beyond the opening range there. So that would have been a good entry. I was looking at that as a potential, but AMD sometimes can be a little bit tricky to trade right off the open. I've gotten burned lots of times. AMD can sometimes go with the market or flush the other way and then come back and join the market. So it's a little bit tricky. It does have a lot of movement. It is good for volatility, but you have to watch it. It can sometimes get burned if you're caught on the wrong side because it can abruptly change course on you. So the trade I did take was on the Qs once again. Taking a look at the chart here, all these first green candles was looking for a potential move higher, an entry rather. You see this dotted line, which is where I was looking to get in long, but it was just too many green candles, and it felt like a chase to be this far into the session. Looking at almost 10 o'clock with about nearly 15 minutes of just green candles in a row with a slight pullback, but I thought I was a little bit overextended. That would have been a good trade, but it doesn't really fit the criteria for me. It's a little bit too extended, and it would have felt like a chase, even if it had worked out. So just trying to focus on better quality setups. So taking a look at the trade that I did take wasn't necessarily a quality setup either. It was close. It could have been if I had been more patient and waited. So I was looking for a push lower. See these two red candles here approaching once again that same area, that dotted line, looking for it to break down. And I was looking for it to cross below that 298.26 area. And I tried to jump the gun and be a little bit ahead of it, and that was where the trade went wrong. Never quite got there, never tested that level, and instead reversed. And instead of cutting it quick, I held it a little bit too long. Looking at the order entry here, I bought the 298 put, got filled at 238, bought it at 10:30 and 37, and held it for about 4 minutes or so, and sold it here at 192 at 10:34.24. So it should have cut it a couple of minutes, 4 minutes for holding it for something that immediately reversed. Was a little bit too long. The reason I got sucked into holding it as long as I did is that the candle before I exited that little with the wick here, I thought it was going to finally reverse and hit lower. So as it approached the entry point, I held it thinking it might push lower. It's that fear of selling something at a loss, and you waited a minute later would have been profitable. But in this case, it turned out to be even less profitable, even more of a loss. So I got it at 10:34. So I held this way too long. The next candle, especially if it looking at the red line here, the 9 EMA, that really should have been the trigger to get out, and I just held it too long waiting for a pullback. So trading off fear on this one for sure. And looked for other setups, and was trying to resist the urge to revenge trade and just try to get the losses back. So really didn't see anything else before I called it a day. Just trade for about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half at most. So just the one and done today. To be down on the day, $47.30, just a red day. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, watching the loss here, make sure to hit a like below. And if you want to continue to follow along the journey as I try to reach the $25,000 PDT level, Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss any videos. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.